right, so we've got about 2 more minutes, and I want to make sure we got to a bottom line here on selecting the right tools and just summarize what some people have said. So it really, you know, there are a lot of tools out there, including your own website, which can become an interactive dialogue. There's blogs, there's forums, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's YouTube, there's review sites, there's all these avenues that people can choose to participate and utilize to market their business. There's content that you're going to generate, which is probably the hardest way of doing it, to generate, you know, 10 blog posts a day and 27 tweets a day and to generate all these things. And then the other way that is equally or maybe even more critical is the listening and the participating and the being a member of a community and getting your name out there. And I want everybody to pay attention to what Steve said. There's more people listening to you than you would ever imagine. I don't know how many people in here look at their website stats every day. Most people just have a website and it's there, and they might not be able to tell me at all how many people are going there. Guarantee you, for sure, go to your website, look at the number of visitors a day, and it will be 4 to 5 times what you believe it is if you have not looked at those things ever. So there are more people listening and more people participating with you than you have any idea about. So how do you select the right tools? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to get done? And I do believe that a person shouldn't say, oh, I market to business owners, I'm only going to use LinkedIn. I think that's idiocy. That's ridiculous to believe that you don't have anybody who is on Facebook that might want to participate with you that way, or anybody on Twitter that might want to participate with you that way, or who uses RSS feeds, or who wants to get an e-newsletter.
John, I had a question for you. As long as we're thinking about out of the box, Steve, thank you very much for creating that segue. What we're looking at doing is something completely different we haven't seen so far. We actually are going out with an initial public offering with the SEC Securities Exchange Commission offering. And so we've been looking at, well, is there a means, or if anybody has ever used this vehicle for communicating a public offering? So we're kind of on bleeding edge application of this technology for a public offering. So I didn't know if anybody
And it would
else
be like a presidential campaign, you know, might have been 2 or 3 years ago, you know, where it's a huge opportunity to do amazing things. You just have to make sure that you're not saying anything that you can't say. That's you know,
I got a securities lawyer, don't worry.
Right, that's the big part of it. But aside from that, what a great opportunity to do that, to have a huge community that all supports this thing and potential customer base to show investors what you're going to be able to bring to the table before you even have a thing done, before you had to have the business done and a customer coming in and spending money. Now you can say, we have 10,000 people waiting to come give us money. Of course this makes sense to invest in this, right? So yeah, absolutely.
And in terms of public offerings, watch how Groupon is handling the quiet period. They're in their quiet period right now. So they're doing cutesy social media, but they're being respectful of the law.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. Steve's going to move on to our tips.
We are one of the co-sponsors with Webolutions and Dale and the Chamber on this project, and part of this that we help with is getting you guys to share the tips that you have, because each of you have things that you're doing that, you know, us as the experts may or may not know about, and that you're going to be able to help each other grow an internal knowledge base. We encourage you to share these tips here as well as on our MeetUp group, and to keep talking about them in the social medias that you use.
Outstanding. John Basley recently died. Just recently. Yeah, about a month ago. Cancer.
I'll send you a couple of pages. You want to use.
But we're going to start with LinkedIn for the tip. Who's presenting the LinkedIn tip?
One of the tips that we came up with was You can utilize LinkedIn not just to find people within an organization, but you might find more updated, relevant information about a person or an organization. I'll use a specific example. I used to call on marketing officers or brand managers within Fortune 500 companies. I don't know if our CRM system has a name that's 6 months old or 4 years old. So I would actually go to LinkedIn 5, 6, 10 times a day, look up that person's name within that organization, and it would say, that person, and even though I'm not connected to that person, it would say that person is now with this brand within Johnson & Johnson. But people in the right-hand corner of that page, it will also say people who viewed this person's profile also looked at and list 4 or 5 other people within that organization. And those people are also usually very, very relevant to what you're trying to do.
The tip for Facebook, before we worry about content or anything else, is make sure people know you're on Facebook. Put it on your business card. Put it in your newsletter. Put it in your e-newsletter. If you're a retail store, put a sticker on your front door. Put it maybe on your letterhead. Put it on your envelope. Put it everywhere so people know, because they don't necessarily assume certain businesses, they think the cool businesses like Mountain Dew or places like that are on Facebook. But if you're on there, let people know about it.
My name is Diane Evans. I'm with Remax, and I do residential real estate. And I used to be out showing homes, and people would, on a tour of homes that I had already done a search for, and people would say, we're driving by this home, why aren't we seeing this home? And I could never tell them. I would just kind of guess, well, maybe it's out of your price range. Well, now with my touchscreen phone, my new Android, I can pull it up and say, well, this home is $100,000 out of your price range, and they get it immediately. So that's where mobile apps have really helped me. There's a lot of real estate apps that I could never access on my BlackBerry, and now on my Android I can touch them and go, oh, wow. So I would imagine there's a lot of apps for your specific industry that you can access that I wouldn't know about. I know about the real estate apps, and I've just touched on them because I know there's a lot.
So what ours is mostly helping to understand what the benefits of Twitter can be. For instance, I came in this morning, I was early, so I was asking Mike, what does Twitter do that Facebook doesn't do? I mean, you can do a 144-character post on Facebook, and people can get it on their mobile phone. What's different with Twitter? And I was only thinking of Twitter as organizations or people being out there on Twitter. But what was pointed out is Twitter is more topic based. So if you're trying to connect with people who are interested in a given topic, for instance, say racing, or what if you're like came up earlier about if you're a bike sales or bicycle salesperson, and the Tour de France is going on, you may want to connect with people who are interested in the Tour de France or something. But with Facebook, it's more entity-based. So you're connecting with people who have shown an interest in your organization, or in you as a person you've friended, a friend you have. So, for instance, like for example, from the National Guard standpoint, what I'm starting to think of now is, say we have like a Special Forces unit. Well, if that Special Forces unit is doing something that we have written a story on, or if they're deploying or whatever, we can connect with people on Twitter who have an interest in Special Forces, by doing the pound tag or the hashtag and then Special Forces. Then people who are interested in that, would find out about that. So those are ways that you may be able to use Twitter if you haven't found a purpose for Twitter yet.
So thank you, everybody. And our next meeting is going to be August 19th. It's going to be at the new Chamber Center across the street, and we're going to be talking about what does social media ROI really mean. And then September 16th, we're going to do creating a social media action plan. Guys, have a fantastic weekend, and thank you again.